More than any other holiday, Thanksgiving revolves around the kitchen, the dining room, and a wonderful meal. We're here with Dr. Ben Chapman, a food safety expert at North Carolina State University, who's going to let us know what we can do to keep ourselves and our families safe in the kitchen and at the dining room table. Just how important is food safety, and just how big of a problem is foodborne illness?
We see around 48 million illnesses a year linked to food that people ate, food that wasn't supposed to make them sick, that made them sick. And that translates into about 3,000 deaths. So it's a big deal. That's 1 in 6 people in the US will get sick every year from food.
And what we're going to talk about today is focused on what we can do in our own homes and in our own kitchens to keep our families safe.
Exactly.
I know that some people thaw their turkeys on the countertop. So what makes the most sense? What's the safest way to thaw your turkey for Thanksgiving?
Such a good question, and it's hard to answer because each of them has risks that are associated with them. Put them in the sink with cool water. What you risk is getting some of the stuff that's on the outside that might have salmonella all over your sink, and it means that you've got to really do a better job washing it. You can thaw it in a microwave. On the counter is one that historically I think we hear a lot about. People used to do it quite often. It takes a lot of temperature monitoring, because what you can have in a situation, in a larger turkey especially, you may still have a really frozen center, and as the outside of this turkey gets warm, and that's where you don't want to have that situation, because any of the bacteria that are on the outside are going to grow.
Right.
And then the last one, which is how we thought the one that we're going to cook today, is in the refrigerator. And it takes a little bit of planning. You and I have talked about this before. You need 3, 4, 5 days, depending on how big your turkey is. And so when you put this in a fridge and it starts to thaw, you can get some dripping underneath here, and you want to have something to catch that so you can pool those juices. The biggest thing when it comes to thawing is having the inside and the outside of the turkey thaw at pretty much the same rate, because you don't want to let bacteria grow on the outside while the inside is still very cold. And that's going to happen if they're not at the same rate. So now our turkey is all thawed, or we could be starting from a fresh turkey. We're trying to make sure that we don't contaminate our kitchen with what's inside here, because this really is, it's raw meat. It could have salmonella, it could have campylobacter on it. And also, you're using kitchen shears here or scissors to do this. They're up against the skin of this turkey. They're going to be picking up any of the bacteria that's on there. Now for us today, you can see we've still got a little bit of thaw in here, or a little bit of ice. Our turkey here didn't fully thaw, so it's going to make it even more important that we are checking the temperature of this as we cook it.
So a lot of recipes and cookbooks tell you that you need to wash or rinse off your turkey or chicken. Is that safe? Is that something that you should be doing?
It's really common. I don't know where it came from historically, but it seems to be this myth that it's going to do something safety-wise, that you're going to be able to wash off the salmonella or campylobacter that's here. You can't. And in fact, it's worse by putting it into the sink, turning the faucet on. The velocity of that water can spray those pathogens up to a yard away from your sink, so you could be contaminating the rest of your kitchen or any of the other foods that you're going to prepare later. You're decreasing the risk by cooking it, regardless of whether there's pathogens on the outside of it. So if you think that you have to wash your turkey, that you're worried about the grime on the outside, that from a quality standpoint, the best thing to do in that case is to use a paper towel, pat it down, and then throw this paper towel out, because it's going to be contaminated with whatever's on the outside.
But you do not need to even wipe it down, right?
No, you don't need to at all. It's just a perception.
So what's the safest way for us to clean everything up before we do anything else?
Well, we know that there's going to be stuff in this juice. There's going to be bacteria that are here. We assume that it's going to be there. Okay. So we want to make sure that we are doing two things. We're going to clean it all up, and then we're going to sanitize it. It's 2 separate steps. Cleaning means we're going to add soap, we're going to take away all the debris that's here, and then afterwards we're going to go ahead and sanitize. So what I like to do with this is use some sort of a dish soap that I'm going to have a scrub brush or something ready to go, and then go ahead and clean up, and then afterwards use a spray bottle of a sanitizer, and this is just a bleach, 1 tablespoon of bleach in a spray bottle diluted with water to sanitize everything down afterward. Yeah, so we've got plates, we've got shears, utensils that we need to assume are contaminated at this point. We need to get them into the dishwasher. If we don't have a dishwasher, we get them into the sink and clean and sanitize those as well.
And we need to clean the sink after we've done that, right?
We for sure do, yeah. Cleaning the sink, and then our hands as well. That's one of the things that they're tools that could be contaminated. So we want to make sure that we're washing our hands. That's the last step that we do at the end of this, and making sure we're not contaminating the kitchen any further.
So the turkey looks beautiful. The meat's beginning to pull away from the bone a little bit, but this pop-up thermometer has not done anything. Do we use one of these sort of dial thermometers? Do we use a digital thermometer? What's the best way to go?
Well, really, I prefer the digital thermometer, tip-sensitive digital thermometer, because what it shows is exactly what the temperature is at the point where it's inserted in the meat. Those types of thermometers aren't as reliable. It takes the average of the stem of that thermometer. This tells us exactly where the tip is.
So the digital thermometer is a lot more precise?
Yeah, much more precise, and allows you to get a very quick read of as what the temperature is when it goes in. This, you have to wait much longer for it. So I prefer this.
So where do you insert the thermometer?
Well, right now I'm inserting it into the thickest part of the meat, and then checking the temperature. I want to keep it away from bone as much as possible, because bone's going to conduct heat much better than the meat is. And what I really care about out of this whole thing is if this turkey meat hit 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to check in lots of places.
We put the turkey back in the oven for a little while. The button has popped up, but I know that these pop-up thermometers are not a reliable way of telling whether the turkey is safe to eat. So what do we need to do with the digital thermometer to let us know that this is done?
Well, we really need to put the digital thermometer into multiple spots. We'll stick it in right here and see what the reading is, and we're well above 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what we're looking for. That's our threshold. Over here, same thing in the 180 area. And then here is really a key spot. This is close to where we want to see, this is some of the dirtiest part of the bird is inside that cavity, and we want to see well above 165 in this area, and we are. By taking the temperature in multiple spots and knowing that it's hit 165, we've done everything that we can to reduce risk.
Once we've had a chance to dig in and enjoy Thanksgiving dinner, we're going to have some leftovers. That's a Thanksgiving staple. So what do we need to do in order to store the food properly so that it's safe for us to eat later?
Well, the first thing we want to do is get it so we're cooling it as quick as possible. We don't want to leave it out on the counter and let people pick away at it for hours and hours after the meal. We want to get it cool. We want to get it below 41 degrees. What I like to do with the meat is put that into a plastic bag. I want to cut it off the bone and put it into a bag where I can lay it flat in the refrigerator and get a lot of air circulation around it. It's going to cool it the quickest. So that's what we do with meat. When it comes to things that are larger and sort of heavier, denser.
So bulkier stuff like mashed potatoes?
Yeah, get a lot of questions about, well, I need to leave that out a little bit first because I don't want to put it hot into my refrigerator. And that's kind of a myth. That's something that might have impacted refrigerators 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but now it's not a concern. We want to get all of this food covered and in the fridge as quick as possible.
Right, so don't worry about overloading the refrigerator, it can handle it.
That's right, yes.
If we follow all these safety tips, then we'll probably have a healthier Thanksgiving, right? We'll have reduced the risk of anybody in the family getting sick.
Exactly, that's what we're trying to do here, is demonstrate all those steps that you can take in your home to reduce risk so we don't have illnesses. And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.